Hello, welcome to episode 19 of Are You Convinced? I'm here as always with Damon.
Hello, I'm here too.
How you doing, Damon?
I'm good. We're back in my house.
Yes, here we are.
This week, yeah.
It just seems to be easier.
That's fine.
Things happen and you just go, I can't deal with anything else going on in my life. Let's just do it at your place.
You know what it is, James? It's life.
Yeah.
Life is getting in the way
Yeah.
of life.
Pretty much.
It's my new favourite expression. I love it. I use it for
Life
everything.
gets in the way. Of life. Yeah. Damon, it's a bit of a tough one this week.
It's awful, actually. It was not a fun one to research. The one advantage, we were saying, like, sometimes it's really hard to do the research on these. Like, we've got to pick a topic, and then we've got to pick a subtopic within that topic, and then find an argument. At least at the end of last week's episode, we had our topics.
That was it. We're done.
Okay,
now we just have to focus on getting this done.
Yeah.
If you did tune in last week, we drew out of a hat. We decided this week was going to be another Begrudging Convince.
Mm-hmm.
You might remember previously, go back and listen to a previous Begrudging episode, which is around 12 or 13, I think.
Yep.
No, it must have been earlier than that. But anyways, we did an episode where we had to pitch to each other musicians, artists that were sort of perceived as not very great or just generally disliked by the majority of people, but we had to pitch that they were good.
Yeah.
So against our will.
One of my least proudest moments of my life, that episode.
And
it's going to be on the internet forever.
He had to go into bat for Nickelback.
Yeah. No one wants to go into bat for Nickelback. Not even Nickelback want to go into bat for Nickelback.
So in that instance, we took something bad and had to pitch it as good.
Yes.
Whereas this week,
we're
taking something good, something that we love, and pitching it as bad.
See what we've done there? How clever is that?
Yeah.
You know, very forward-thinking, this podcast.
We have ideas.
Some of them good.
At least 5%.
It's actually a really lazy way of picking our arguments, isn't it? It's just, let's put a whole bunch of stuff in the hat and see what sticks. I like it.
Can we just get a whole bunch of arguments and put them in a hat and then pick out that?
No, isn't that like very early on? Isn't that how we started?
Maybe.
We just came up with a whole bunch of topics and wrote them all down and threw them in a hat. Yeah, I'm sure that's how we started originally.
Yeah, I think so.
That was fun.
But this week, we are talking about beloved movies that are actually the worst.
I want to point out that there's a big discrepancy here that I've only just worked out.
Okay.
Because I had 3 movies.
Yeah.
You had one. You actually could re-watch yours at a reasonable time. There's no way known I could have watched all 3 of these.
I did say before we put it in the hat, do you want to just make it the one movie? And you said, no, we'll go for all 3.
I didn't know I'd draw it. I didn't know I'd actually pull it out. You're right, that was my fault.
We are going to be arguing against these movies that we both love.
Yep.
But sometimes there are movies that people love and they're very passionate about, but they're not without their flaws.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's the thing. Movies don't have to be high art.
No.
They don't have to be the Mona Lisa. They just need to be enjoyable.
That's it. Yeah. So you just have to be able to switch off your mind. And sometimes people do go in, and now that we have the internet, then people will go and analyze every single moment of the film and just go, well, that doesn't make sense.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I love watching, every now and then on YouTube, someone will do a video of if X film was released today, and you look over, especially after The Last Jedi came out.
Yeah.
A lot of people made the comparison with Empire. And they said if that was out today, people would be complaining that it takes too long. The green puppet with the big ears is too weird. The twist at the end was too big a twist and we couldn't see it coming. And, you know...
okay.
And, I mean, we forget that Empire wasn't actually that well received by everyone at the time.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought it was too dark a departure from Star Wars.
Yeah.
And those people were
Which was one movie at the time.
That's right, exactly. And that was, we were trying to work that out before, weren't we? I think we were discussing the idea of, because I've done a marathon with my movies.
Yes.
And I talked to you about an idea you had a couple of years ago when it was a lot easier.
to do the marathon of Star Wars.
Star Wars, yeah, it's a lot harder now, isn't it?
Now that we're 9 movies, about to hit 10.
Yeah.
And
I'm so excited for magic number 10, man.
Are you? Are you really?
No, I'm not. Law of diminishing returns. No, I'm not. It could be good. It could be good.
It could be good. I mean, if I go in with low expectations, then...
Which we all are.
Yeah.
Yeah. We might come out of it with a perfectly serviceable movie.
Pleasantly surprised.
I
mean, we're going off on a tangent.
We are. And we could talk about this all night, so let's not.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think one of the big things... I mean, obviously, we've got Infinity War. It's coming out very soon. Yes. We're like a month away from Infinity War.
Yes.
But the last sort of big one was Civil War.
Yes.
And there's big sort of... People have pointed out the issue there in that movie is that the whole plot of the movie, the villain, his plan hinges on a whole lot of coincidences and just a lot of luck.
Which I don't necessarily... I can't argue the point because they're right. Like, when you really go into the minutiae of the plan, a lot's got to go right.
Yeah.
You are correct.
Like, you did counter it pretty well, though. But,
well, how did I counter it? For those that weren't listening to
well,
our
no.
conversation
We'll go over... First, we'll go into what the issue is. So, basically, spoiler alerts. That's good for the whole episode here. Spoiler alerts.
Yeah,
okay. These are great movies you should have seen
My
already.
movies came out in, 2000, and yours came out in
like
1989 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Sorry, if you haven't seen them by now. But
yes.
Yeah, anyway.
But spoiler alert for Civil War. Basically, the Winter Soldier killed Tony Stark's parents.
Yes.
And there's a videotape of that. Baron Zemo doesn't know that that's happened. He's trying to get the mission report. So he's killing all these people trying to get the mission report from what happened that night.
Yep.
But why would he be so focused on getting that mission report if he doesn't know how important it actually is? And then he uses that to sort of drive a wedge between the Avengers. And it's just sheer luck at the end of the movie that Iron Man and Captain America and Winter Soldier all end up in the base at the end. And
Black Panther's there too.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, I will still argue Black Panther was my favorite character in that whole movie.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Because his motivations, I thought, were the most believable. And his arc in the movie, I thought, was the best.
Yeah, okay.
Because he went just purely from revenge, which is understandable, to understanding.
Yeah, okay.
Which was like he wanted to kill the Winter Soldier, worked out he shouldn't, had the opportunity to kill Zemo, who caused it all, but because he's a very intelligent man, didn't.
Yeah.
Like I thought his was the most intelligent arc.
Yeah.
Although small. My point there is that Baron Zemo's plan might not have been right from the beginning for all those things to happen.
Exactly.
It was to destabilize things.
Yeah.
And if you take it from the point of view of, well, that was fortunate, then it works perfectly.
Yeah.
It's just a shift in thinking. So, like, he might have been looking for the mission report, knowing that what it contained would destabilize the Avengers.
Yeah.
And then when he discovers, oh, good, there's a videotape. This is getting even better.
Brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. Great, I can use this. And
like, sometimes in life, you do have good days.
You do. Like, in sports, there's an expression, sometimes the ball just drops for you.
Yeah.
You know, like in footy, every now and then the ball will just bounce correctly and you'll run onto it every time and kick a bag of goals.
It's just the sheer luck of it all.
It does. It just happens. I haven't had one of those days in a little while, I'll be honest, in my working life or my sporting life. But no, actually, I'm doing fine at sports. We were talking about the fact that the one I couldn't counter was the EMP.
Yeah, okay.
It has to arrive at the exact right time to take out the power in Berlin at the exact same time that he's interviewing Sebastian Stan, the Winter Soldier, after convincing all of the UN security people that he is the best psychologist for the UN, which surely someone has met.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Someone's met this
He doesn't disguise himself.
Yeah.
Somebody surely would know who this psychologist should be.
That's right.
Baron Zemo walks in and they just go, yep.
Cool. You seem right. You've got glasses. You're German-ish.
Yeah.
I had to concede that one.
Yeah. But I did like your point of pretty much he's just gone, yep, I'm just going to destabilize everything here. Wow, that was lucky. That was fortunate. This is turning out better than everything's turning up. Baron Zemo.
And right at the end, he's like, that's it. Someone's going to come after me. It's going to be, I'm pretty sure Tony Stark still wants to kill the Winter Soldier, so he will follow him here. Doesn't necessarily matter that they were friends at that point.
Yeah.
And then when he looks out of that little window and goes, oh, good, they're all here.
Yeah.
This can actually happen in real time in front of me.
Rubs his hands together.
Brilliant. Rubs his grimy little hands together. And what a relief that was too when it gets there and you realize, wow, they've done something really intelligent here and they haven't just awoken 6 super soldiers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I was starting to get a bit disappointed. I'm like, is the plot of this going to be that the super soldiers wake up and then they've just got to fight really tough Winter Soldiers? This is turning into another origin movie.
Yeah.
And then he gets there and they're all dead and you're like, ooh.
What's going on?
This movie's keeping me guessing here.
Yeah.
What's really happened? Yeah. Really good movie. Yeah.
I can get past it myself.
I can fully see both sides. Like, Natalie very much is of the camp of, no, that's crap. Too much has to go right. This guy's just fluked his way through this movie. And I'm like, just accept it. You know, it's still good enough around the edges. Another really interesting one
Yeah.
that ruined the lives of everyone on the Big Bang Theory in that video we watched in research.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones? Indiana James?
Did
Indiana
I
Jones.
write? What did I write?
No, you wrote Jones. I went to say James.
Indiana James.
I think I
okay.
said Indiana James.
Yeah.
But he plays no role in Raiders.
He affects the plot in no way.
He could have not been there.
Without him being there, they still find the Ark.
Yeah.
They still take it to the island, open it up, and all die.
They all die.
And
then what? Yeah.
there's a medallion that, without the medallion, they start digging in the wrong place because Indy has it. But if Indy wasn't there, they'd have the medallion. They'd be digging in the right place.
I missed that bit. Did Indy steal the medallion from the Nazis?
I think there's a bar fight with the what's her name, and she gets kidnapped, and he gets the medallion.
It was too long ago.
Yeah, it's been a while
since
since
I've
I've
watched
watched
it. Seen it. Yeah, I do remember a video. Someone else was talking about. I think it was the Weekly Planet. They were talking about the fact that Raiders of the Lost Ark. Raiders of the Lost Ark. What's the second one?
Temple of Doom.
Temple of
which
Doom.
is the first one.
Yeah, that's dumb. But that one, he does affect the plot because he fights the bad guy and defeats him, and he cuts the rope bridge at the end of it, and all this sort of stuff. But apparently as well, I want to rewatch this now because it's got me thinking. I'm pretty sure in the third one it would have followed a similar line without Indy as well. Like he was kind of superfluous for that one.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, the third one wasn't. No, the third one was good, wasn't it?
I like the third one.
Yeah.
I think just nostalgia-wise, it's one of my favorites.
Sure.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's the one I weirdly remember the clearest.
Yep.
I think not weirdly because
I
saw it
think
most recent.
Channel 10 played it like every second Friday.
Oh, jeez.
It was that and Back to the Future 2.
Yeah, they're
Which-
good. 2! Yeah, none of the other ones. Back to the Future 2 on repeat.
And Indiana Jones 3. Who would have figured?
I mean, and who would have thought, by the way, that Back to the Future 2 would have predicted the current present that we're in now with Trump being president?
And they were off by like a year with the Cubs winning the World Series.
They were too, weren't they?
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Back to the Future, speaking of...
Oh, I'm glad what a good segue.
Yeah, I know.
I'm glad that happened totally organically.
I do try to set up these segues if you haven't noticed by now.
You're even wearing a Back to the Future shirt. I love it.
Save the clock tower.
Hill Valley 85 5K run. That's awesome.
You don't run. Actually, doing some research, I was going to talk about something else, which I will get to in a minute. But during our research, we read about a plot hole in the first Back to the Future.
That's right, yeah.
With pretty much they know that the clock is going to strike the clock tower at 10:04 p.m. because that's when the clock is stopped.
Yeah.
And they've got to get the car, the DeLorean, to hit the wire at exactly that time when the lightning strikes so that it'll get the energy to go...
Yes.
To charge the thing to go back.
I've seen
the
movie, James.
Yeah. But it's got to be exactly that time.
It does.
But the clock doesn't have a second hand.
No, so they've, as it said in that post we read, there's a 59-second margin of error.
Yeah.
Which, when you're moving at 88 miles an hour, that's a huge margin of error.
I mean, I assume you could put it down, depending on how the clock is made, that the minute hand just gradually moves around.
I don't know.
It might actually no. Now that I reflect on it, I think it does just
like
click every minute, if I recall correctly. Because remember, it's a sudden click over,
it's like douche,
and that's when he falls.
And Doc Brown's freaking out because he's like, "It's the minute." He's going, "We're in the 59-second margin of error." You know, if someone won a Formula One race by 59 seconds, that would be an absolute destroyation. Yeah, that'd be a massacre.
When lightning is split second timing.
Yeah.
They were lucky they even got it at all, especially with the whole stuff with the clock not going off and the clock going off and the car not starting.
My heart is racing just thinking back to that scene. Like every time I watch it, the adrenaline genuinely does pump.
Yeah.
Because every time I watch
it, start the car.
This is going to be the time I watch it and it doesn't work.
Wouldn't that be a great way for movies to work?
Wouldn't it be?
Just like a choose your own adventure DVD that just kind of randomly plays out.
Last week we talked a bit about DVDs.
Patent pending.
And the hidden, the secret, not secret? No.
The extra features.
Extra features on DVDs. That's a really cool extra feature on a DVD.
Just make straight to DVD movies, but just have it, the plot just plays out differently the way that you...
Totally randomly.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. We might be onto something there, man.
But the big thing about Back to the Future that I did want to talk about is that the whole trilogy it doesn't remain consistent with its time travel approach.
Now, you're going to have to explain this to me. We haven't talked about this previously.
Yeah, okay.
And I did read it, and I'll be honest, that didn't make much sense to me. I remember it being pretty cohesive. What do you mean?
So, in the first movie, he obviously goes back in time. He's got to make sure that his parents get back together.
Oh,
He's
hang on,
interrupted.
stop. We're going to need a whiteboard.
He's Charlie from.
We need a pin-up board, some
I've
red
mapped it
string.
out.
You need to have not slept in 4 days and have a smoke in your mouth. We need that meme to become our lives if this is going to be explained properly.
So he goes back to the past and he changes things by not allowing his parents to meet.
Yes,
right.
Which is also creepy because it implies his mum wanted to have sex with him and then named her her third-born son after a guy she wanted to have sex with in high school.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
It's weird, but go on. Yeah.
So he has to fix it so that they stay together, so that he's born,
Yep.
and then he can return back to 1985 and just slot back into regular life. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Then in number 2,
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing with Biff happens with the almanac. He goes back in time, gives himself the almanac, changes the whole future.
Yeah.
Right? When they get back to the alternate 85, it's implied that there is another Marty that's in Switzerland going to school in Switzerland.
True. Yeah.
And he's standing there in the room. So there is a Marty in that timeline.
Yes.
That's how that played out. The original Marty doesn't belong in that timeline.
Yes.
So what they've said in number 2, sorry, I'll try.
This is really hurting my head, but okay.
What
There's
they're
two Martys.
saying in number 2
Yeah.
is that going back to the past and changing anything creates an alternate timeline.
So are
But
you saying
what they've
Marty shouldn't
said-
have been born?
What they've said in number 1 is that going back, changing something, and then fixing it just doesn't. He didn't put things back exactly how they were in the first movie. So technically, the first movie should have developed an alternate timeline. He should have gone back to 1985, which is technically a slightly alternate 1985 to where he came from.
Okay, see, this is why Looper is my favorite time travel movie, because they don't try to explain the time travel.
But yeah, they undid. So they just with number 2, which was they weren't planning to make a number 2. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
And they were stuck with
Really?
how the first
But
one
the
ended.
ending of that movie
Of number
is them
1
setting
was
up for
just
2.
a joking cliffhanger.
Oh, okay. I suppose they were more popular back before movie franchise
Yeah.
universes, I guess. Okay, I think I follow your point.
Yeah.
Smarter people
So-
than me will get that.
So number 1, he technically, according to the logic of number 2,
Yes.
in number 1, by going back, the second he's changed anything,
Yep.
no matter what he fixes, because it's not going to be exactly the same,
Yeah.
no matter what he does, he's created an alternate future
Okay.
in which there is another Marty.
Right.
So when he goes back and slots back into his life, there's another
Yep.
Marty that he's...
I'm trying to think. So
had to-
in number 3, when he gets back to 1985, does he go back to the altered 1985 where everything's great and his parents are cool, or does he go back to the very original?
I think he goes
1985?
back to the altered 1985 where his parents are cool.
Oh God, we need to draw a timeline. That's crazy. What's your favorite Back to the Future movie, by the way?
Number 1.
Yeah,
Number 1.
yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
I'd probably say number 1, number 3, and then number 2. Funnily enough,
Okay.
because
Yeah,
I
alright.
overwatched number 2,
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
which we were just saying Indiana Jones 3 is my favorite because I watched it lots. Back to the Future 2 is my least favorite because I
Yeah.
watched it lots.
Number 2 has a bit of an issue with the imagined futurism stuff
Yeah.
because it's all like, oh man, that's so cheesy and tacky, and it didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
I think that does adversely affect it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're willing just to watch it and have fun, which you should, but the third and first one are completely timeless because they go back to the past.
Yeah.
So it's foolproof that way.
Yeah.
What about the fact that, and this is another one you've written down, A New Hope is oddly structured and kind of has 4 acts instead of 3.
Yeah. So this is
Explain
sort of a
yourself,
plot
young
hole.
man.
I think I have explained this to you previously, but
Do
I
it
find-
again on air.
okay. So everybody else can hear.
Yeah,
Um,
and also I can pretend like I remember.
I find this every time that I watch A New Hope, and it bugs me every time. It seems like A New Hope should end a lot sooner than it does.
Okay.
A basic 3-act structure of
You
a
have
film.
explained this. Sorry, go
Yeah.
on. Yeah, okay, yep.
A basic 3-act structure as a film is you have the first act where you introduce the hero,
Yep.
at the end of which he is thrust on the adventure. He has a mission, he has a goal,
Yes.
or he or she.
Yes.
But in this case, it's Luke. He's stuck on Tatooine. At the end of the first act, his aunt and uncle are dead, and he has the mission. He's
Yep.
got to get the Death Star plans back to the rebels.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So he's got to go to Alderaan to give the plans to the rebels.
Yep.
Act 2 of a film is basically, the core of the story, them on their adventure, on their quest, trying to do the mission,
Yeah.
and things start to go wrong, and at the end of that act, they're kind of caught in a position where they're like, oh, we can't achieve this how we wanted to achieve it.
Yep.
We're going to have to come up with another way, and we're in big trouble here right now.
Yeah.
So that whole thing is when they've gone to Mos Eisley, met Han Solo. They've got the ship. They're flying to Alderaan. Find it's exploded, which at the end of the second act, they found it exploded. They're like, okay, what do we do? We're now being sucked into the Death Star.
Right, and then that's the third act,
the
which
end
is
of the
escape.
second act. Third act is the escape. The plan has changed. The third act in anything is the plan has to change. You have to overcome the final problem issue and escape and you achieve your original goal by the end of the third act.
Yep.
So what they do in A New Hope, they rescue Princess Leia, they give her the plans, and they all get away.
Yeah.
That was the mission, was get the plans to the rebels. They've got them to Princess Leia.
You're absolutely right. And then they rescued her, and
then they go and fight over the Death Star.
You're not in any way saying that would have been a better movie, are you?
No.
No.
But I'm just saying every time it gets to the end of...
It would have worked because they could have just had the next movie in that series would have then been Leia having the plans and then discussing how to attack this Death Star thing.
Yeah.
It would have slotted in very neatly if you left it like that. You're right.
But every time I watch it and they're having the Death Star escape, I think, oh, it's almost done. No, wait, this movie has another half an hour to go.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm a lot more sympathetic to that movie since I watched a video talking about how it was saved in the editing.
Yeah.
You know
I think
you
might have touched on this last week.
I might have done actually.
Before.
Because I saw it recently and it's really stayed with me. It's well known that the original film of A New Hope was almost unusable.
Yeah.
It was awful.
He's an awful filmmaker.
Well, he really is. This is the thing. He's a great ideas man.
George Lucas we're talking about, folks.
That's right. Yep. George Lucas sat back, looked over his raw footage and just went, oh no. Like the studio even sent him money and just went, we don't care anymore. Finish it.
Yeah.
Just here's a bunch of money. Finish it. However far this money goes, that's what you use to finish it with.
Yeah.
And he had enough in the can to cobble together something. So his wife and him, mainly his wife, she's the real true hero of Star Wars.
I think she did a lot from what I've been reading from his not his autobiography, his biography.
Yeah.
Not written by him.
Yeah.
Was that he would do a lot of filming and pass it on. He worked a lot.
Yeah, he
did long hours.
He was hospitalized with hypertension.
Yeah. So he'd hand the film footage, and this is back when you had to like cut the film and such, and actually develop it. And his wife would edit a lot of the stuff temporarily for him. So she was very, very heavy-handed.
It's interesting when you watch this video back. The original structure of that movie was awful. It started with Luke on Tatooine.
Yeah.
And that, like the very beginning was Luke on Tatooine.
It wasn't the break-in on the ship.
With the most iconic starting scene in movie history, as far as I'm concerned.
Which is now made so much better by Rogue One. Like that whole scene, the whole undertone of that scene is changed.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. But she cobbled it together in such a way that like Lucas had not planned the movie to go like that.
Yeah, okay.
But she turned it into something not just usable, but brilliant and built tension.
Yeah.
Purely through little changes she made and completely flipped scenes. And one of them was that cold intro. That here's a little ship, we don't know anything about it. Here's a massive ship, we don't know anything about it, but immediately we know the balance of power.
Yeah.
And immediately we know the good guys from the bad guys.
Yeah.
Straight away. And we're immersed into this movie already. Rather than just seeing some pasty white kid in the desert.
Yeah.
And there's no mythos to Luke that way.
Yeah.
That scene where you see Luke for the first time, the music swells, you're like, this guy's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
But we don't know how yet.
Yeah, sort of pensive. Yeah. No, I can see that.
Fight
I'm glad
Club.
it played out the way it did.
Me too. Fight Club.
Shh. Don't.
No, because someone did break that rule.
Okay, who?
Everyone in Fight Club. Because all of a sudden they walk down to the basement and there's a lot more people in that basement. Someone talked, Jim.
Yeah, well, I kind of figure it's like, you're heading out of the office on Friday afternoon. You just go, hey, Damon. We're finishing up. Do you want to come?
Do you want to come and get your ass kicked?
No, you don't say anything. Just I want to bring it. I want you to meet me somewhere after work.
Sure.
You'll come. You'll show up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, look at this dive bar. This is an awful.
Let's go downstairs into the basement.
I don't know that I want to. That guy called Last Drinks a long time ago. Also, everyone in here has bruises. Like, everyone in here is missing teeth.
So I feel like the only way you could get away with that is, if you just kind of told your mate to come along and not really told him what he was getting into.
Or maybe the first guy that asked you about the cuts and bruises.
Yeah.
You sort of tell him,
you have to come
this place.
I'll show it.
Yeah.
I still wouldn't go. If you.
I would show you the world.
But if I said, Damon, why are you all bruised and battered and scarred? And you just be like, oh, you want to find out? Come with me. No.
I want to avoid whatever you're into.
Actually, sorry, that's segues.
Oh, we're good at them.
Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Fight Club.
Now, this one, I think Cracked talked about this
Yeah.
one. And then I saw it on How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
So this might not be an old one, but it's so glaring.
So is it Danny? Is that his name?
I don't know. I've never seen
Karate
it.
Kid?
It came out so
before your time.
Before my time. It's not funny. I wasn't even born when this movie was out and popular.
Yeah.
So I've got no idea. But go on.
Basically, at the end, he kicks his rival in the face to win the match.
Yeah.
But no, he'd get disqualified for that.
Yeah, earlier in the movie, the ref's talking about no this, no that, no kicking in the face.
Yeah.
And everyone celebrates him as a hero.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
He's just like crane kicks him. Yeah. No.
Yeah. That poor kid from the Cobra Kai gym who worked hard, lived karate, actually fought by the rules, he gets turned into the villain.
Yeah. For no good reason.
He is an 80s movie bully, I suppose.
True.
But we've been doing this for 19 episodes. That's the first Austin Powers reference we've made, I reckon.
Is it?
I hope so. I don't want that to be how we're remembered.
Donate to our Patreon for $1 million.
It's 1985. That amount of money doesn't even exist yet.
Damon,
yes,
I did have to dive in a little bit to one of my favorite movies, Back to the Future. I want to hear, have you got any hard hits for Jurassic Park?
No, it's a perfect movie.
Okay. What about the T-Rex pen, Damon?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I did kind of mention that to you in the prep, didn't I? Yeah, so it is something that still bugs me, and because I am so in love with that movie, I have actually put it on with the express interest of just figuring this one scene out, and I still can't do it. I've drawn maps. I've read articles.
Do you have those maps?
Yeah, they're all up on that pin-up board with red string behind you. Yeah.
Alan Grant's over here.
I haven't slept in 9 days. No. It's that scene everyone remembers. The cars have broken down. It's raining. The T-Rex breaks through the fence. And 5-year-old Damon hides behind the car seat at the drive-in and can't watch it, even though he loves dinosaurs. But that was terrifying.
So the T-Rex steps from level ground.
Level ground and walks.
From its
in
pen.
fact, he walks a little bit lower because he's stepping off of the pen. Like he actually steps onto the road, down an embankment onto the road.
Yeah, okay.
She steps down.
Yeah, yep.
Then there's some shenanigans with the cars. One of the cars gets turned around and gets shoved back into the pen. And it's the same pen because the wires, the electric cables are dangling down, and Alan Grant hangs off of one of them, abseils off one of them, pushes the car off a cliff. Now, unless that T-Rex paddock is just divided between big open paddock at one level and then a sheer drop right next to that point, which seems like an OC health and safety issue, I would argue, like a sincere drop.
It is.
I was talking about a 100-meter drop.
Yeah.
Enough for a car to fall into the canopy of a large fig tree, which, I've watched it a lot, and I don't know how this is. It's just, I mean, that movie is actually full of mistakes.
Yeah.
When you watch it back, like there's that bit where the raptor egg hatches, the robot arms holding the raptor egg.
Yeah.
And the raptor's hatching, and there's that amazing, life goes on music going on behind, and everyone's staring in awe as this tiny little Velociraptor hatches out, and then it cuts to the next angle, and the robot arm is just gone.
Okay.
If you watch it back, you'll know what I mean. There's other little issues in it, and that's not to go into the science, like the really bad 90s paleontology that went on as well, and the fact that they didn't hear the T-Rex storm into the visitor center right at the end.
Yeah. It just kind of comes out of nowhere. Yeah.
I mean, they are distracted by 2 raptors trying to eat them, so they can be forgiven, but I still love that movie, man. It's
a great movie.
Oh, I still laugh, cry, feel triumphant every time I hear that music.
John Williams is the man.
He is the man. He hasn't done a bad score.
No.
I mean, not that I'd know. But every movie I've watched with a John Williams score, I'm like, this music is
Done
really good.
Indiana Jones,
Yeah,
Star Wars,
true. Yep.
Superman.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah. Superman
Harry
and
Potter.
Indiana Jones are actually the same song.
Yeah.
If you hum them to yourself, they're almost exactly the same tune. Did he do Harry Potter?
Yeah, he did the first 2 Harry Potter movies.
There you go.
So he's that original, that dun, 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 which also sounds very similar to Home Alone to me. But anyway.
Oh, okay.
So, Damon, do you want to get into your argument? We've been talking a fair bit, but
yeah, might as well. I mean, yeah, mine was really
just
hard.
rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it. That's what I ended up doing with the research too. At some point, I'm just like, I'm just going to have to just start writing things down. And there's surely things about the Lord of the Rings that I didn't like.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
there are. I mean, the other.
So that's what you're doing.
I'm doing the Lord of the Rings. Yes,
trilogy.
I'm arguing the Lord of the Rings were no good. I mean, they only revolutionized.
At the end of this podcast, I'm going to have an audio clip of you saying, Nickelback are actually great. The Lord of the Rings are no good.
What person am I? Like, what is this character? God, I mean, I'm sure this guy exists. Yeah, man, I love Nickelback. Lord of the Rings, they were long and boring. Like, that guy exists somewhere.
Isn't that every second person on YouTube?
I just don't want to be any of them, you know? I don't want to be that guy. Yeah, it was actually so hard, I outsourced part of my argument to Natalie.
Okay.
Would you like to hear Nat's thoughts on Lord of the Rings?
Sure, if they're going to compel me.
Well, maybe. Okay, Nat's top 5 reasons for why the Lord of the Rings sucks. Number 1, there are too many dudes with beards who all look alike, and I can't tell anyone apart.
Valid.
Okay. Number 2, why are there elves and goblins when there could just be people?
Because they're different races.
It's actually it's my favorite argument.
It's hilarious.
It's my favorite argument for anything ever. Frankly, it totally misses the point of everything. I love it. It's great. Number 3, just too long.
Yeah, okay.
There's no funny way of saying it. It's just. Number 4, Orlando Bloom's eyebrows.
Okay.
They don't match.
Yep.
Like they're dark and he's very blonde.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
So he clearly forgot to dye his eyebrows.
Am I mistaken in thinking that in the books it's never expressly described that all the elves have blonde hair? Or not even described that Legolas has blonde hair?
Maybe it's worth mentioning here that I finished reading Fellowship.
Yes.
Put it down and went, oh, thank Christ.
I think I started reading Two Towers and did the same and just went, no, I can't keep doing this.
I can't do it.
But I feel like it was never actually described that they had blonde hair and they just did it as a decision that all elves had blonde hair.
But they don't all, though. There's some of them.
You're right. But for no reason was Legolas... I could be wrong, but for no reason... Legolas is blonde. Yeah, why he didn't have to be.
He really didn't. He could have been Orlando Bloom's natural, whatever hair color he is. Number 5, so much walking through the forest. Oh my God, why can't you just get there?
Because it's a long way away. That's the movie.
I know. Again, like, I love it.
Sometimes they go onto mountains.
I love.
And towns and big cities.
And under the mountains.
Yes.
You know, if we can't go over the mountain, why don't we go through it? I say we go through the mines of Moria.
Is that the correct pronunciation?
Yeah, I'm fluent in Dwarvish.
Okay.
But when she was telling me all the things she hated about these movies, it did make me think the only way I could argue that 3 of the most influential movies in my life suck is to nitpick the aspects I don't like. That was my whole
okay.
So, Nat heard her 5. I'm going to create my top 10 worst aspects of the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
All right, I am ready.
Are you ready? Top 10. Orlando Bland. I hate this guy. I hate Orlando Bloom. I hate him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think he's so overrated. He's possibly the most overrated actor of the early noughties. He's like Keanu Reeves.
Try again.
Keanu Reeves?
Is that who you meant?
No. What did I mean? The guy from The Matrix.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, without the charisma.
Okay. What were you going for there? You were so confused over who Keanu Reeves was.
I wrote that really late last night. No, yeah, I don't know. I think I read that in my head as Christopher Reeves.
Okay.
They're nothing alike. But he is like Keanu Reeves. He's just deadpan, but Keanu Reeves still manages to pull charisma out of his deadpanness.
Okay.
Orlando Bloom does not. He's like a wooden cardboard cutout.
Yeah, okay.
His idea of putting on an accent is whispering loudly. Rewatch those pirate movies. That's not an English accent. He's just whispering, but he brings it up louder every now and then he'll just shout. and then he goes back to whispering really loudly at Jack Sparrow. That's not an accent, man. That's just talking at the back of your throat. He barely emotes at all. I've heard the argument that he's meant to be calm and stoic, but he's just bland and boring, and that's right. His eyebrows stand out like dog's eggs. That's a pet peeve, but like I said, these are nitpicks. Number 2, the special effects. They don't hold up. The really big things like the Eye of Sauron and the fire and Gollum work really well. Gollum still stands the test of time. But the more you watch it nowadays, the harder it is to ignore the uncanny valley effects when a real actor is standing in front of green screen effects. Or the transitioning between CGI, body double, and the real actor. The most noticeable example of this is when Orlando Bland takes on a whole tower on the back of a Mumakil or Oliphant. Shut up. I know you're impressed. I know my law. and you can see this weird rubbery CGI form swap instantly with a stiff cardboard cutout real life version.
Yeah.
You know the bit where he's like sailing down
the trunk,
and his arms are just like floating above his head, and then he lands and he's all stiff.
It
stands out. So like you know it's not really him, but it's so exacerbated. Lord of the Gay. Why didn't Sam and Frodo end up together?
Don't know.
They should have just ended up together.
Because not every movie needs a romance.
Well, okay, but then why was it so romantic the whole way through? Like, I mean, it was a joke of our teens.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're so gay and they like really love each other. And now that we're mature, woke adults, we're like, no, they really cared about each other.
Yeah.
What would have been wrong with having a romance at the end of that? There
Nothing.
you go. Man, no, I'm throwing that at you, man. There's no.
But I
answer to
mean,
it.
is that a problem with the movie or the books, the story in general?
No, well, I made the choice of just basing this off the movies because, as we just revealed, we didn't even read the books. So,
what I'm getting
story.
at is, can you use that because they just went with an adaptation of the books?
Well, they adapted and changed a lot of stuff from the books, and whole things from the books weren't even brought in. So, if you can exclude huge portions of the book so that the movie makes sense, why not alter something slightly?
Okay.
All right. Now I'm gonna come back to that point because it does reemerge later. All right, and there's a way you could have done it. Number 4, the close-ups. The Nostalgia Critic does an amazing video where he does his top 11 dumbest things about Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
And I'll be brutally honest, I watched that in my research.
Yeah. Okay.
It was hard researching this topic. But he makes a really good point, especially in Fellowship of the Ring. There are so many close-up shots, like really disturbingly close shots. You know, it's like, is it secret? Is it safe? What, do you mean my personal space, Gandalf? The ring's fine, but seriously, get out of my bubble. Number 5, the easy fixes. Just fly there with the eagles. Get Legolas to kill it. No, Saruman is beaten. No need to investigate further. Stay out of the tower. I'm sure the books do a better job at explaining these issues, but the movies suffer from being far more one-dimensional and time-critical. So issues like this can't always be explained away. Unless there was one line of dialogue explaining all of it. When I said fly, you fools, I meant get the eagles. Geez, now Frodo and Sam are walking to Mordor? God damn it. Aragon, next time there's a Balrog, you fall off a cliff. Last time I did it, the whole plan got ruined. Have you seen that there's actually a really good reply to that whole, why don't they just fly the ring? Because
the eagles don't want to be involved.
Yeah, but that gets shot down as well because they do get involved right at the end.
But at the end, it's all done. They're just going to bring them back.
Yeah, like asses. But the one really great argument I read was that that's always what Gandalf intended.
Yeah.
Because he always meant for them to go through the Misty Mountains where the eagles live.
Yeah, okay.
It was just so happened they couldn't because Saruman blocked them with the avalanche or whatever, that they ended up going through the mines. But the plan could have been, let's just get through this. This isn't how I wanted to get here. We'll get through it. And then on the other side, we meet the eagles and fly across.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he dies. Or does he?
Yeah. We know he doesn't.
He kind of does. He kind of gets reincarnated. Whatever. That's all confusing. The book changes. Now, this is completely unfair. We've already established we never read the books, and you can't dwell on, like, if you pull on that thread, the whole thing unravels. You know, It's just totally unfair. But there are a few whole adventures cut, even from the extended editions. The Return of the King should have ended with Saruman taking over the Shire in a weird land grab for revenge. This scene is beloved by book fans, including the late Christopher Lee, who, until his death, lamented the lack of the scouring of the Shire.
Yeah, okay.
Right? I would have much rather this had been the ending of Return of the King than the 14 we eventually got, which involved boats and long goodbyes and Sam marrying the wrong damn hobbit. Don't get him married at the end of that movie and leave the romance ambiguous.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. That was thrown in there as a like, see, Sam is straight. Sam doesn't have to be straight.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay, but that all right.
Yeah, no, valid.
It's easier to say that in 2018 than it was in 2002. So anyway, orcs, they suck and they are too killable. They just mow them down like wheat in these movies. If you want to laugh, look really closely at the Battle of Helm's Deep and watch a bunch of extras just fall over dead with no obvious wounds.
Okay.
If you watch really you know that scene where they're on the bridge, like where he throws Gimli across and they jump over? There's actually a scene where one of them runs at them and then makes a beeline jump off the bridge. Like there's no sword or axe coming at him. He just runs and then jumps at an angle off the bridge. It's freaking great.
Better fate than what he had in Thor, probably.
Probably. Very true, yeah. Number 8, racism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, this one really goes back to the source material and probably the times in which it was written, but it's still worth bringing up. Ever notice how the goodest people in Lord of the Rings, the elves,
The goodest.
The goodest.
They're
okay.
the
best. They're the best at being good.
Yeah.
You know, they're fair-skinned. A lot of them are blonde. They're tall. They're almost Germanic looking.
Yeah.
And the orcs are big-nosed and long-nailed, and really toothy, almost like Nazi anti-Jew propaganda. I'm going to leave that one hanging.
I mean, that's pretty much...
Lord of the Rings is racist, James.
Lord of the Rings is pretty much the war. Well, not...
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, the war against... Yeah, it is. Because like, it's like the industrialization as well. And yeah. The political leaders suck. Denethor is a moron. King Theoden is not much better. The dwarves apparently want no part in the end of the world because they don't even show up except for one. And they send him as a delegate, and he's a friggin' racist. And even Sauron doesn't pay penalty rates to his orcs. What a jerk!
He's a villain.
Exactly. Anyone that doesn't pay penalty rates is a villain.
Yeah.
Political. But seriously, this weird Cold War going on between Rohan and Gondor is BS, and it nearly kills them all. Now, you could argue that Grimmer Wormtongue is corrupting Theoden with magic, but even after he snaps out of it, his pride stops him from listening to Aragorn, sees him held up in Helm's Deep, from which there is no escape, but he still refuses to help Gondor in the third one because they wouldn't help him. Dude, it's the friggin' apocalypse. Just help. Do something. Meanwhile, Denethor has just lost the plot.
Yeah.
You know, pining over his son and then ends up like jumping off of a ledge on fire.
Yeah.
Who elected that guy? You know, he made promises he could not keep. Number 10, lastly, and this is my big one here, okay? This is my Hail Mary attempt to convince you. It wasn't directed by Stanley Kubrick, and it didn't star the Beatles as the Hobbits. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yes.
You've heard of this, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a real thing. The Beatles, members of whom were known for using their money to produce movies, because George Harrison completely funded The Life of Brian, the Monty Python movie.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, it nearly lost him millions when everyone started protesting the movie and tried to have it banned. And they had a hand in acting when they had their own movie, A Hard Day's Night.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Stanley Kubrick was the big sci-fi director of the day, and for a story that was always called unfilmable, he was the obvious choice for that task. However, arguments amongst the bandmates over who would play Frodo led to the project being shelved.
Wow.
I know. This is amongst my greatest regrets in film, second only to Del Toro not directing the Hobbit trilogy.
Yeah, okay.
Which is my single greatest regret that didn't get made. James.
It was always a tough one, wasn't it?
This was a really tough one, and I think my argument reflects it. I know I haven't convinced you, and that's fine. Have I vaguely entertained you?
You've vaguely entertained me, I'll concede that.
Vaguely with a capital V. Are you okay?
Yeah, that was good. I'm sorry that you had to do that.
That's me too. And I'm sorry you had to listen to the results.
Oh,
It was
shut up.
really hard. Like when you go into the research in Lord of the Rings, every other post is either nitpicking
Yep.
or some fat lazy guy on YouTube arguing how boring it was.
You didn't actually nitpick as much as I was expecting you to.
There could have been more, but
yeah,
like there's real nitpicks.
Like I thought you were gonna be like really harrowing in on little tiny like mistakes and
I could have done, and I could have gone into things like Tom Bombadil wasn't in it, but
tragic, really.
that was 2 chapters of my life I'll never get back.
That was a
whole time.
great 2 chapters. He
You
should have
didn't
been in
even
the
read
movie.
the book. You said before.
I read Fellowship and then I started reading Two Towers and gave up.
I thought you meant you started at Two Towers.
No,
which
why
I'll
would I
be
do
honest.
that?
I know. I'll be honest. I
Oh.
thought that was a bit of a strange move. Just like every detail of every aspect of the world is described. I mean, come on.
Yes. And then you just get distracted and you just go, oh, okay, yeah, what am I having for dinner later?
And then
you realize you haven't been reading for 4 pages.
Exactly. Yeah. No, you have been. You've been going over the same line
Yeah.
over and over again. Or you've actually. Have you done this before? When you're reading a book, you've turned the page.
Yep.
And then realize you haven't been reading any of it.
Exactly, yeah.
You've got to go
sort of
backtrack.
do it every time. Yep.
Awful.
Yep. Anyways,
Let's move on from that experience.
let's just remember that Lord of the Rings are actually really great.
They are. They're fantastic. I love them. Yep.
Actually, I just remembered I wrote something down while you were doing your argument that I'm surprised you didn't bring up.
Oh, go on.
Legolas never talks to Frodo the whole movie. He says, and my bow, and never talks to Frodo through the whole trilogy.
More racism.
They never have a conversation.
It's just further evidence of racism.
Yeah.
What are you arguing, Jim?
I'm arguing that Ferris Bueller's Day Off is actually the worst.
I'm looking forward to this.
So, Ferris Bueller's Day Off was released to theaters in 1986. I did get that right.
There you
at the
go.
start of the episode.
Yeah, good.
Written and directed by John Hughes and starring Matthew Broderick as the titular Ferris, this teen comedy became an instant classic. It was one of the highest grossing films that year, earning $70.1 million off of a $5.8 million budget.
That's big.
Yeah,
real
especially for that sort of time. Yeah.
Mm.
But of course, I'm here to tell you how terrible this film truly is. So John Hughes wrote Ferris Bueller's Day Off as a love letter to Chicago.
Okay.
And it shows. The story plays out like a tourism commercial with Ferris's exploits used as a weak and thinly veiled excuse to hop between various tourist highlights of the city, including Sears Tower, Wrigley Field, and the Art Institute of Chicago.
Is this the angle you've taken? It's just I'm just going to crap on Chicago.
And
Ooh, I grew up on the other side of the country to this place. I'm going to crap on it.
the editing is choppy, cutting back
I'm sorry.
cutting back and forth between several characters, sometimes only to show them in a 10-second scene, at which point they go back to Ferris and he's in some other highlight of the city, some other tourist hotspot. They literally only cut away just to get him to some new location.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You're right.
All of the adults are idiots.
Yeah. True.
Ferris
Yeah.
coasts by not only on sheer luck, but the complete stupidity of the adults around him.
Yeah. I can't believe that whole setup in his bed fooled
Yeah.
anyone.
Rooney, the dean of students, watches on as Sloane, Ferris's girlfriend, makes out with Ferris in the school car park, while Ferris is disguised as her father. Kind of dismissively, Rooney just says, "So that's how it is in their family." And then in the next scene, he's suddenly mad about it all again, and he's got to catch Ferris.
No need to investigate that further.
No.
Really, no. No need to put in a report to the Department of Child Health and Abuse or anything. No.
It was
No.
the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty sure the guy that played the principal, pretty sure he was arrested.
Erected?
Whoops. Whew. No.
Wow.
Arrested
Yeah.
for child sex offenses.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Or he had child porn or something.
Yeah.
He's a bad human.
He
is what
doesn't
I'm
look
trying
like
to
a
say.
great guy.
No.
You're meant to hate him in the movie anyway. So.
Yeah, and you do hate him in
Yeah.
real life in the end, yeah.
At one point, Ferris's dad sees Sloane in an adjacent taxi, having done a double take after correctly, mind you, thinking he just saw Ferris.
Yes, true.
Okay. Ignoring that. Are you telling me Sloane hasn't met the family yet? Are they now planning to never meet? So this is a girl Ferris has intentions of marrying.
Yeah, he says that at the end.
He proposes to her during the film in a half-serious manner.
Oh, yeah.
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 He says, "Oh, I know we're kind of too young and we'd be poor and whatever, but come on, let's get married."
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Later, Ferris's dad sees him again from sort of a rear side view running alongside his car, but he just shrugs it off. Never questions any of it. Never questions the fact that he thought he saw Ferris for a second.
Yeah.
He's now seen somebody running in front of a car that kind of looks like Ferris.
And that ugly vest that he wears too.
Yeah.
I mean, if my son owned and wore that, I'd remember it.
I think so.
And it would be seared into my mind, and I would hate it with every passing second of the day. Yeah.
It's just amazing throughout the whole film. No one seems to be asking why these teens aren't in school.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because the then 29-year-old Alan Ruck is unconvincing as a 17-year-old Cameron.
He is totally unconvincing.
Even Matthew Broderick was 23. He's pushing the envelope. You're not fooling anybody.
No, but he does have a baby face.
Yeah.
So
okay.
but you're right. The other guy, Cameron, yeah.
He's 29.
Yeah, he looks like an emaciated 40-year-old. Yeah.
The character of Ferris is actually a bit of an idiot himself, getting by on dumb luck and pushing this luck at every opportunity. As mentioned before, he passionately kisses Sloane in front of Rooney, risking their cover. And this is after giving his best friend Cameron a hard time for coming off as suspicious on the phone earlier.
That's right.
Yeah.
Why'd you hit me? Where's your brain? Why'd you hit me? Where's your brain?
Yeah.
Why'd you hit me? Where's your brain?
Exactly. So he's just gone and risked the cover already, just himself. He claims to be Abe Froman, the sausage king of Chicago,
That's right.
to take his booking at a fancy restaurant. But Abe is probably still going to show up.
Yes,
he has a booking.
Yeah,
so
it's a miracle
plan,
he just missed lunch that day.
This
Yeah.
plan has a high likelihood of going to crap.
It's almost Baron von Zemo levels of luck, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, when they're in the taxi, while he's at risk of being spotted by his father, he starts to tickle his girlfriend's feet.
Yes.
She's just sitting there making faces, making the eyes at her future father-in-law.
I love that scene.
And he just starts tickling her feet.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's going on? Like, you're undercover. Just sit still, Ferris, for 2 seconds, please.
You've got nothing else to do here but not be seen.
Yeah.
You've got one objective, mate, and you're pushing it.
And he, of course, gets himself on a float during a very public parade.
Oh, yeah.
When really, he should be staying low.
Yeah, but I mean, in fairness, his friends are screaming at him that this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Don't do
But
it.
he's an idiot.
Yeah, true. Who choreographed all those dances on the steps?
And he's you know what? I think he's just gone and messed with the whole parade was choreographed, right? They had a plan, and then he's thrown in Twist and Shout, and the whole plan's gone out the window.
That's right. Yeah,
So
the band never
they've just
learned
gone,
that song.
what do we do? Like, what's going on?
And all of those dancers who just happen to appear at those steps, shimmying along, they just, good. We've been waiting to bust this out.
We've been waiting for this song. We've been practicing this.
Yeah,
you know,
and then they
in the high
bumped
school
it from
gym.
the run sheet like 2 weeks ago, and now this kid's bringing it back. We're doing it. We're doing the dance on the steps.
Brilliant.
Let's do it.
One major plot hole is that Ferris can't even afford a car. So where does he get the money to fund his day off? We're talking entry to Sears Tower, tickets to the art museum, to the baseball game, which look to be pretty decent seats.
Yeah, absolutely.
And lunch at an expensive restaurant.
Which, I mean, presuming if he's sorry, I know the whole point is here that you're finding reasons why it's garbage, and I'm stopping you doing that, but you need to be held accountable. If he's low enough and his scruples are bad enough that he's just going to steal someone's lunch bookings, surely they just ditch on the bill.
Maybe.
But that also has a huge element of risk in it too.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Go
And then he's just a bad guy.
He is. He is a genuinely terrible human being. Yeah.
So all of that, right? Plus all-day parking, which he tops off by tipping the guy a Finsky or a $5. So just the $5. That's what he calls it, a Finsky.
It's a Finsky. No one calls it a Finsky.
That's what he calls it in the movie.
He's a bad.
See what a Finsky will do for a guy's attitude.
What a terrible person.
So all of that money. A deleted scene had Ferris on the phone to his father, tricking him into revealing the location of bonds he had bought when Ferris was born.
Oh,
he then would have traded in these bonds to fund his day. This was removed because it made Ferris look like a thief rather than a charming rogue.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. It really damages his character.
But even if we ignored that,
there
is still plenty of evidence for the next and most important part of my argument.
Mm-hmm.
Ferris Bueller is a sociopath and an all-round terrible person.
Oh my god. Wow. Okay. Yeah,
All
I feel bad for donating to the Save Ferris Fund.
Yeah, are you ready?
Okay, yeah, I'm ready.
He lies to his parents and fakes being sick without feeling any remorse.
True.
He flaunts this fact that he isn't really sick to his sister while his parents are still in the room.
Yeah.
He's been absent from school 9 times this semester, and he has thought about going for 10, though admits he'd be pushing it.
Yeah.
His best friend is actually sick, and
Yeah.
Ferris forces him to come out.
Yeah, that guy has a serious mental illness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He blackmails him by saying if Cameron isn't there in 15 minutes, he can find a new best friend.
Wow.
He then promptly makes him a third wheel once they pick up Sloane.
Very true.
He lies to his peers at school over the phone, dramatically exaggerating his illness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at one point, someone is about to hand the phone over to someone else and goes, "Have you seen Alien?" And they go,
Yeah.
"No." "Oh, you'll be okay." What? What is he saying? What's he saying is wrong with him?
He calls school administration and lies to them.
Yep.
He hacks into the school computer system and adjusts his record.
I was about to correct you before when you said 9 times, because strictly speaking, the record, so he wasn't away 9 times. But anyway, go on.
Only 2 by the end
Only
of
2,
it.
yep.
He notifies the school that Sloane's grandmother has passed away as an excuse to get her out of class.
Yeah.
That's never a good
No,
thing
it's
to
not.
joke about.
It's not okay. Yeah.
He steals Cameron's dad's car,
Yes,
a
he does.
1 in 100 Ferrari.
Mm-hmm.
He does this on the pretense that they just need it to pick up Sloane, but then he doesn't return it when they're done, and they put the car in a parking garage all day anyway, so it made little difference what they drove to the city.
True.
Cameron is clearly stressed about many of the situations throughout the day, but Ferris doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't understand how the two are friends.
Yeah.
Maybe they've been friends from a young age, but surely Cameron would only hold Ferris back.
It might be one of those things, though, where Cameron understands that Ferris is like the best thing for him. You know,
But surely-
without Ferris Bueller, he would never leave the house, kind of thing.
Yeah, but surely Ferris would feel that Cameron holds him back.
Okay. Yeah, but some people really like that Patsy. They like that soft.
Well, okay, so
Yeah, go on.
I feel like they would have grown apart. And really the only explanation is that Ferris remains friends with Cameron because he can boss him around and manipulate him.
Which is also the sign of a sociopath.
He trespasses.
Yes.
The backyard pool they go to is clearly not his. It isn't Cameron's because Cameron lives in the woods. And it
Yeah.
isn't Sloane's or she'd be wearing a swimsuit and not her weird undergarment thing.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of, when Cameron admits to having watched Sloane get undressed,
Oh, yeah.
Ferris just laughs.
He enjoyed that. Yeah.
That's not okay.
No, it's not.
But like, if someone did that to your girlfriend, you'd be pretty mad.
But I'd also be worried about the girlfriend. I'll be like, can you not get changed? I know he's catatonic, but like, let's just assume he's not catatonic.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, look, like, you know, it's your body, do what you want with it, but I'd advise against it.
But he's just a rubbish boyfriend.
Yeah, he is.
In the
Yeah.
climactic chase through the neighborhood, Ferris stops to hit on 2
He
bikini-clad
does.
women.
He shakes hands with them.
And this
He
scene,
doesn't have time to do that. His dad's around the corner.
he's got to get home. And this scene takes place right after he kisses Sloane and tells her he loves her.
That's right.
Even she thinks they're going to get married.
Yeah.
She says that.
And he's saying it like at many points down the lens. He's going, I love her. I'm going to marry her one day and rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but he's still going to flirt with some, you know, sunbathing girl in a backyard that he's trespassed in.
Yeah.
James, I'm convinced.
It's actually quite chilling. In the restaurant scene, when his friends are trying to rein him in, they're trying to get into the booking, and he's like, "You're not Abe Froman." Ferris looks at the camera and insists, "You can never go too far." That
can.
is not the words of a normal person.
No, you're right.
Those are the words of a sociopath.
Yeah.
Ferris is a boy who thinks only of himself and his own pleasure
Mm.
and never considers the effects his actions have on anyone else, even those closest to him. I want to end with the very fitting words of Edward Rooney. What is dangerous about a character like Ferris Bueller is that he gives good kids bad ideas.
Ooh, yeah.
So, Damon,
Mm.
I may not convince you that Ferris Bueller is actually a terrible movie, but is Ferris Bueller an awful protagonist?
Yeah, no, he is, and that's what makes it so wonderful. It's, yeah, and I'm going to put it on the record, you definitely had the easier the movie than me, because you just watch it and you go, there's no way this kid's getting away with this. How much of an idiot is that guy? The parents are whipped. Yeah. But that's partly why it's so enjoyable, because he's living every teenager's dream, that one day off where you do all the wonderful things you've always wanted to do. Have you heard the theory that Ferris Bueller is actually just a figment of Cameron's imagination?
I have.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. You might have told me that theory, in fact.
It could make sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Cameron wants to kind of be cool and hip and sort of
Yeah.
imagines this person who is embodies all those things.
I mean, it all falls apart when you see Ferris on screen alone.
Yeah.
Without Cameron imagining him, but yeah.
And really, Cameron and Sloane should have been together. They have that very close moment when they're talking about what they're going to do after high school. When when Ferris is on the parade float having a good chat. And
Sloane's actually probably the best character in that.
Yeah.
No, actually, no, I'm thinking back. She's an accomplice the entire way. Never mind. No, she's not. She's a chronic enabler. She's a terrible character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
there you go. Yes.
Have I ruined that movie for you?
That's fine. No, it's still very enjoyable. And I'm sure I never ruined Lord of the Rings for you either.
No.
But
we'll throw it, as we always do, to our listeners.
Yes.
Are you convinced by our arguments? Do you think The Lord of the Rings are terrible? Do you think Ferris Bueller's Day Off is terrible? Or at least that Ferris himself is a terrible human being?
Have we changed your minds in any way? Like, have you been listening to this and there's like that glass breaking sound effect from How I Met Your Mother where you've gone, oh my God, Lord of the Rings is racist. My big thing, I really hope I've convinced people that they should have edited the ending to leave it romantically ambiguous as to whether or not Frodo and Sam were.
That would have been good. Yeah. Just leave it open ended.
Leave it open-ended.
Like I said, you don't have to have a romance.
No, you don't.
You can imply it.
And, you can just heavily imply it and carry on. Yeah.
But let us know what beloved films you think are actually terrible, or at the very least full of mistakes and plot holes.
Yeah. Well, what about films that are just completely overrated? You've never seen the hype they get. Yeah. What is beloved that you just can't stand?
Let us know in the comments or on our social media accounts.
Those social media accounts are Twitter and Instagram at Are You Convinced. You can search Are You Convinced on Facebook. The link is www.facebook.com/areyouconvinced.podcast. Please consider donating to our Patreon, or maybe not, because we should make mention of this now, I suppose. If you've got through to this point, congratulations.
Yeah, this is episode 19.
Yep.
Next week will be our 20th episode. It will probably be up on April Fool's Day.
Yep.
So just so that you're taking us seriously.
Yeah. You might not believe it next week, but we will tell you now it's nowhere near April Fool's Day.
Yeah. Next week will probably be our last episode, at least for the time being.
Yeah. We've had a bit of a look, and we keep making references to life getting in the way, but the reality is this podcast does take us at least 3 hours to do, just to sit down and record for like 1 hour.
And then there's obviously the prep and getting the arguments done, and then the prep that I do. I mean, I know you would pitch in if you could, but the prep I do to cut and edit the episode.
The reality is you do another 4 to 5 hours.
Oh, I wouldn't say that much. Another hour and a half, 2.
7.
Okay, yeah.
A full day.
Yeah.
Completely unpaid. And this is not an issue of money, but it is an issue of just time.
And I guess the point is we're now getting to a point on the way that we've uploaded our podcast. We had to pay some money to get storage space, and we're running out of that storage space.
And we're happy to pay the money. We'd probably pay the money again. But the reality is if we're going to make the choice to pay the money again, we also need to weigh up the level of time we're investing as well as the money we're investing. And we might look into different projects as well.
I think so.
Yeah, we'll have a think. We probably won't stay off the airwaves indefinitely.
Entirely. And we could bring this back in one way or another. But just letting you know, next week, the 20th episode, we'll probably wrap things up, at least for the time being.
Yeah, I think 20's a nice... We can be pretty proud to say we released 20 episodes.
We've done more than Star Wars.
To this point, we have done more than Star Wars.
Well, we still got another, 5 years.
Didn't we make this joke in the Star Wars episode, by the way?
Yeah.
We've finally released more episodes than there are Star Wars movies, which I think now is out of date.
How many episodes of Firefly were there?
I don't even know.
Did we beat that?
I never watched it. Oh, of course we did. I think we beat Fawlty Towers.
Okay, yep.
Which is kind of nice.
So we're just patting ourselves on the back.
We are! Huge achievement, 20 episodes.
Don't be like, oh, it's over. We've given you a lot of episodes.
And if you are like, oh, it's over, go back, re-listen, re-watch on YouTube.
Convince your friends to listen.
It would be awesome. And if you did listen and you do enjoy it, please do drop us a line. It means the world to us when people come up to us and say, hey, I've listened and I really enjoyed it and it's good stuff. And I don't know about you, I've had a couple of people listen and really enjoy it, and they've now made it a part of their weekly routine, which is cool.
Mishka. Shout out to Mishka, good old boy.
You good old boy who we thought was a girl for the longest time. I did. I just stupidly assume that Mishka is a feminine name, but Mishka, you're a good cat. Don't ever be convinced that you're not. But we'll do all this again next week. Like,
we just wanted to clarify.
Yes.
We probably were talking about maybe doing next week practical jokes as the topic.
Yep.
Because it's April Fool's.
That's right.
But we just wanted to spell out that
the ending the show is not the practical joke.
We are. That's it. We're done.
There is no episode 21.
You're still here?
It's over.
It's over. Go home.